Welcome back. My guest, Sean Swarner, who has done all 7 summits, the Explorers Grand Slam, North Pole, South Pole, 7 continents, 7 marathons, 7 continents, 7 days, and 2-time cancer survivor, doing it all with 1 lung. You have so much to say, so much to share, really super impactful. I appreciate the friendship we've developed and what we're going to do going forward. You took some notes. So you just got back from Kilimanjaro. We talked in the last segment about you actually messaging me from Kilimanjaro and then planning your trip out here to do the show, which we're all very grateful for. But you said that this is different because you've done this so many times, and the joy of having a guide is someone who doesn't just take you someplace, but anticipates things along the way. And so you, having achieved all these mountains and conquered them all and not actually seen the result you thought you were going to have, you have a different view, a different word, a whole vision for this. Different everything. So share that.
Different everything. So to kind of set the stage, the average success rate on Kilimanjaro is 48%.
48, so just under half of the people who start finish.
My groups are at 99% success.
That'd be better.
A little bit better, right? In fact, double better. One of the main differentiators is everybody on every other group, they're just plodding forward, their heads are down. Again, they're focused on the false summit, not the real summit. We're the only group on the mountain singing, dancing, having a great time, telling jokes, and the summit becomes a byproduct of having fun. We're enjoying the journey because it's no longer about the top. We always make it because we have a deeper purpose. And I don't call it an expedition. Most people say, oh, we're going on an expedition up Kilimanjaro. If it's you versus Mother Nature, and most people go there with the concept of, oh, I'm going to conquer the mountain. If it's you versus Mother Nature, you're not going to win that battle. She's going to take you down every single time. So it's you versus yourself on the mountain. And it's not an expedition, it's an inspedition. It's an inward journey through an outward adventure. And every group I take up, the trip's a little bit different. So I actually create questions for people to take, and these are the actual questions from this group. But each group is a little bit different. And we discussed, the false summit versus true summits. And the first thing that we started talking about was letting go of the ego. And the first question that I had for them was, if no one else ever knew I reached this summit, would it still matter to me?
It's a great question.
If the answer is yes, I would still go, then you're doing it not because of the ego, you're doing it for a better purpose. Then we start talking about resilience, and then am I chasing this goal for external validation or internal fulfillment? Again, going back to the ego.
And how important that is for young people, because young people now with Instagram, social media, TikTok, the views, the likes, the really quick snippets that life is consumed in 5, 10, and 30-second increments. Like, how important is that for that question? Like, ask that question again, like to the camera, about what the reason is for doing this.
You mean, am I chasing this goal for external validation or internal fulfillment?
Yes.
Yeah, you have to know. And if it is for external validation, a great way to look at this is, so many people are more concerned about what others think of them than what they think of themselves. If I'm on social media, no offense to anybody who follows me on social media, why do I care if someone's putting me down on social media? If I don't even know that person, I have a circle of friends. Those are the people who mean something to me. And there was something else my wife and I were talking about where, let's say you're working a job, you get up and you're at work at 9 a.m., you have these goals that you actually go after because your boss is telling you to reach those goals, certain numbers, whatever. You're doing that for someone else. When you want to start working out, when you want to start working for yourself, when you want to be an entrepreneur, when you have other goals that you have, when are you going to start living your life instead of somebody else's?
One of my mentors, Doug Hostetler, he's a good friend, mentor, a lovely man in Maryland, and I was struggling with a lot of this for a long time. I was struggling with not fitting in the financial world, or I don't look at things the way other people do, and I'm looking for different depth, and I don't value the things other people value necessarily, and I was bemoaning that. And he said, only seek the praise of the praiseworthy.
Ooh, I love that. And that reminded me of I was training for Kilimanjaro. It was my 27th trip up, right? So just a few months ago. I was in Colorado going up and down, and a guy started criticizing my form. And I thought, first of all, he doesn't know who he's talking to because I've been up there that many times. And I realized, never take criticism from someone you wouldn't take advice.
Say that to the camera.
Never take criticism from someone you wouldn't take advice.
That's great. And it's the person who's the place you want to be, right? It's the person
Yes.
who's at the top of the mountain shouting down, guiding you up is a lot different than the person who's at the bottom yelling at you to come down.
Exactly.
It's a very different thing.
But going back to the Kilimanjaro trip, another reason we're so successful is because I lead from behind. I encourage people to go and explore, empowering them to get more out of the trip, more out of the journey. Now, of course, I'm in the back making sure, okay, don't fall off and die. But at certain points, when it gets dangerous,
That's the 99%.
That's exactly. That's the 1% that didn't make it. I'm telling people, put your hand here, put your foot there. But then each morning we give them I give them a set of questions. You know, on day 1, day 2, day 3, day 4, day 5, day 6, we have certain questions that we run through. So one of the best ones that I gave them on day 1 is, you know, if you're going on any journey, what am I leaving behind on this journey? What no longer serves you? And then when things get...
Hold on with that one. So
yeah.
what are you leaving behind? When I was working with Jack Canfield, who wrote Chicken Soup for the Soul and Success Principles, one of the questions he challenged us with was, what do you do well? What is it you currently do well that is keeping you from doing something better?
I like that.
So what are you really good at? But because you're good at it, it's stopping you from growing, exploring, reaching fulfillment, doing something else. And that's because it's easy to give up things you don't like.
Yeah, of course.
But give up the thing that someone's willing to pay you for, something that people applaud you for, something that people admire about you. To leave that behind is the ego. I can tell people one of the reasons I do this show is I had a difficult transformation of, I used to work with very successful people, and I realized that working one-on-one, I could only work with so many people. But if I can have a show where I inspire or introduce people who are doing great things to a bigger audience, if I have a business, a tax-related business that helps companies save money so that people have the money to then pay other people to help them, if I can elevate 100 people to work with 100 people, I can touch 10,000 lives. I could never do that one-on-one. I don't have the time, but it was a difficult ego move to say, I can do greater good if I can give up the high five, the hug, the words of affirmation, the gifts, all the things. This is very timely. This is something that's happened in the last 6 months for me.
Wow.
And so it's a powerful question. But keep going, because I think that these are the questions that I think the audience has to hear.
And on day 2, and the questions are actually made for certain parts of the trip. You know, the terrain goes with the questions too. When things get difficult, do I lean into it with courage or shrink away? And why? That goes back to question 1 as well. You know, where in my life have I underestimated how far I've come already? That's a big one. And for me, we actually, and we go over these every evening. And for me, where I have already come, where have I underestimated? I think it was, and this is going to sound really weird, my accomplishments. And the guy looks at me, he goes, you know, you might have to beat this out. He goes, bullshit. He's like, I'm calling you out. I was like, why would you do that? He's like, well, because look at all the accomplishments that you've had in your life. I was like, yeah, but those are the things that I haven't given enough attention. Those are the things I don't really, I've underestimated how far I've come.
So I think those 3 questions for the audience, 3 really important things. One was are you doing this for yourself or for other people? So really important to understand who you're doing it for, and that you're not giving somebody else the power, right? That's a big part of it. There's what happens when I face adversity? Do I lean into it or do I fall back? So some of this is the fear. Am I doing something to succeed, or am I afraid of failing, which is really important. And then the last question was 3 was accomplishments was,
where in my life have I underestimated how far I've already come?
So the third one, after we get into, am I doing it for myself or others?
Yep.
Am I, do I lean into things, or am I looking for success, or am I afraid of failure? And then the third piece is actually looking at all the things you've done. And it's a great exercise to go through all of your accomplishments and go through, again, same thing when we're going through the transformational stuff. It was go back to your life and do everything. I won a spelling bee. I got a merit badge. Everything you did, there's some power to going over the positives and not thinking, well, I didn't climb. I was just looking at the picture I did of climbing Half Dome with my father, which there's part of it, which was, that was a great trip. It was awesome. And then I'm like, and Sean's done Kilimanjaro 27 times. And so you have that moment of this is silly, but then it's like, yeah, but that was at the time, that was a big deal, and it was a long hike, and we hadn't done a 14-hour round trip, and
that's you, not me.
And it was right, and a different stage of life, and different time, and everything else. And so it's not comparing yourself to others, but just pushing yourself to do other things. So with that, in the last couple seconds, anything you want to tell the people, the audience, about things to do, places to find you, stuff to try, a quick challenge for the audience?
Wow, we're SeanSwarner.com.
SeanSwarner.com.
Just like Sean Connery, and then like the proper way. And then Swarner, just like the Warner Brothers with an S.com, pretty simple. A challenge. You know, you were talking about, or we were talking about how other people are potentially comparing themselves to someone else, and they get caught up in that. And then they start looking at the things that they don't have in their lives, and they start getting down on themselves. The challenge would be just for 2 weeks. If you want to do it for 3, great. Grab a frickin' journal, right? And every time you're getting ready for bed, right before you go to bed, write down 5 things you're grateful for that happened that day. Not your house, your health, your wealth, stuff like that. That's a given. 5 specific things that happened that day. And then pick one of them, say, I'm most grateful for blank because blank. And now you're going to go to bed with an attitude of gratitude. And over time, there's scientific proof that it changes the synaptic connections through neuroplasticity in your brain. So just try that for 2 weeks.
I love that. So, Sean Swarner, I am grateful for you, your friendship, your motivation, your accomplishments, and most importantly, your heart. Everyone, elevate your perspective, see a better path, and follow Sean Swarner so you can be the giraffe.